Smith Ranch Homes Board of Directors, our open meeting, town hall meeting. And we'll start off with our fun part. We've got our Coldwell Bankers team sitting back there, all of them. First, it's going to be Christine. You're going to be the reporter today. So we welcome you and we welcome your compatriots.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Well, welcome. Hello, everyone. We haven't been here, I don't believe, for like 3 months. So we'll give you a little update on the real estate market. First, in Marin County, inventory has climbed up 462 homes on market. That's up from 313 2 years ago, which is a 47% increase. Buyers have a lot more options today to choose from, which obviously makes them slow down in perhaps some of their decisions. But overall, we've had mortgage rates that have been hovering at that 6.5% now for almost 2 years, which really has now made the buyers just kind of settle into the fact that that's not going to change anytime soon. And we see that in the reflection that contracts and sales are continuing. It's only slightly gone down, if anything. So they're adjusting well. Home prices really have remained stable all over Marin County. And the economists view this as a gradual normalization. It really creates a healthier and more predictable market condition. So overall, we think that things are going quite well for Marin County in terms of real estate, generally speaking. Now, for Smith Ranch, we've had a great year so far. We have, just for the last 3 months since we last met, we've closed on 6 condos. We currently have 2 in contract, and we have 7 condos up for sale. And so that's a really healthy, we keep ourselves between 3 and 13 at a time. So that's a very good thing. It just shows how desirable Smith Ranch remains. In comparison, last year, we sold 16 properties total from January up to date to this date. We've sold 16 last year in 2024. 2025, we've sold 22 properties. So we're also up in our sales. It's really great news. And of course, last year, if you remember, we also had the assessment finalizing, and there were things that were slowing down some of the decisions from our buyers. But overall, 2025 has been a very healthy year, both inside the Smith Ranch and outside of Marin County. So the last thing to talk about is the upcoming senior fair. I hope that you're all thinking about coming and taking a walk around the Civic Center. It's this coming next Wednesday, September 17th. Our booth number is 158. In comparison to last year, we have a really great location. We have printed these maps out. You can always get this when you arrive at the Civic Center, but if you'd like to pick up a map beforehand, just step in the office, pick it up. I might try to leave some with maybe Alex at the front desk as well. And by the way, the theme is disco. So maybe come in your bell bottoms, okay? Any questions?
Okay, I'll ask one. Here's one.
So
Sandra?
the sales now are.
Sandra, we should wait for the
Okay.
microphone, please.
The condos that are open, are they all 1 bedrooms, or are they?
The good question. We have two condos out of the 7 that are 2 bedroom, 2 bath. And then we have one that is a plan 1. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. We have a plan 2, which is a 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath. And then we have 2 that are plan 4s, which is a 1 bedroom den and and then we also have one that is another 1 bedroom den, but it's a plan 7. It's a little bit larger. So yeah, a nice selection, but a little bit heavy on the 1 bedrooms again.
Other questions? Christine, are you seeing the prices at Smith Ranch appreciate?
We've had great appreciation in pockets. So I think what's really fair to say is when we have quantity of the same size, that sometimes makes the pricing either flatten out, or in some cases when they've been on market for a long time, they do take a price drop. Of all of our sales this year, we've got 95% of the asking price. So I did those numbers, and that's a pretty good average of from list price to the final sales price, getting 95% of that. Currently, we've had some price drops in just some that have been on market for a long time. And you know, this is such a niche market that when a property is not in the most prime location of, you know, location, sunlight, or whatever, that can affect how much they go for. So if it's, you know, looking at a parking lot, I get people that just won't do that. That reflects how the prices go. Really, it's so niche here. It's not really, you cannot take a price per square foot and put it across Smith Ranch properties. It just does not, it doesn't work that way here. It's all case by case. It's pretty much like outside too. It's location. But even here, it's more specific because, you know, I think buyers really want what they want and are very choosy when they are selecting between, you know, 5 different properties, and they're going to choose the one that fits for them.
Sometimes, Christine, you're able to give us an indication of what other condominium retirement places,
You are so
Villa
right.
Marin and
And I do have that number, thank you.
Okay.
So the Villa Marin. So Villa Marin right now has 19 properties for sale. That's actually doing pretty well. The last time I think I spoke with you, I know they had 25 for sale. So they've had as many as 40, 45 at a time. They are getting a little bit better and getting through their inventory. Up to date though, they have, for 2025, they've sold 20 condos. So they're pretty much the same in terms of how many condos they have. They're about 250 to our 244, something like that. So they sold 20 this year, and we've sold 22.
Christina, there's a new community down in San Rafael, a little different than us, but Aegis has a new footprint in downtown San Rafael. It's pretty impressive, at least from the exterior, and I've heard some good comments from those that have visited it. Do you anticipate any of the challenges for Smith Ranch Homes by having these newer properties like the Vincent and then Aegis as well?
Always. I mean, those are most likely CCRCs, and so we always suggest that they do their due diligence. And, you know, what always attracts everyone over to Smith Ranch, not everyone, but a good majority, is the 30 acres of a backyard. Excuse me. The difference of the community independent independent versus assisted. There's a feeling of I don't know, there's a feeling of joy for coming here. So we really recommend that they do their due diligence and go check out the other properties first.
okay. Thank you, Christine, and thank you for your
Thank
team. We appreciate having you on our campus and as part of our family. Now we're going to move ahead. We have a technology group that's been working very diligently over the last few months to put together a new technology system and looking at the future. There's so much going on in the technology area now with AI and all kinds of things that I don't even understand. But luckily we've got some people on board who do understand that and have a lot of expertise in it, and we appreciate that, and they're making a wonderful contribution. So we've developed a charter for the technology group, and Scott is going to give us some details on that.
Thanks, Glenn, and good afternoon, everybody. You can see this town hall meeting is a little bit different than other town hall meetings. This is actually a little bit of a board meeting because we have some agenda items that we didn't want to wait for another couple of weeks for our regular board meeting on September 23rd. So we've added a couple of action items for the board, and then we'll get to the committee chairperson reports. But to start off with this technology charter, Smith Ranch Homes, I'm going to go over the write-up here. I think it gives you good color commentary on how we got here and what we hope to do in the future. Smith Ranch Homes has a long-standing practice of forming various organizational groups, such as standing committees, ad hoc committees, advisory groups, volunteer teams, to address specific objectives. As technology continues to touch all aspects of the community, forward-facing to the residents and behind the scenes with staff, it's prudent to organize a body that provides knowledge to the association of its use. Earlier this year, the board approved the concept of bifurcating the Communications Committee into two groups: the Communications Standing Committee and then a Technology Review Group. The Communications Committee charter was approved last month, and the Technology Review Group is presented today. This review group is distinct in that it'll have both residents and employee representatives. I've introduced this a little bit earlier this year, and we've been able to really kind of think long and hard how this can work, and we think we found a potential solution here. Smith Ranch has seen recently a success of these blended approaches with the software work group, the emergency call switch work group, demonstrating the value of collaborative input from both residents and staff. Some of the ways that this review group is different in its organization is that the review group will have a minimum of 3 residents and 3 staff members, including the chairperson. The footprint for this group is that there's a blend of short and long-term goals, and by having staff, by nature of staff, has a long-term expectations, so we feel that the chairpersonship by a staff member is prudent. The resident members shall be appointed by the board, and the staff members shall be appointed by the general manager. All members shall serve at the pleasure of the board. A staff member will serve as a chairperson appointed by the GM, and a resident member will serve as a deputy chairperson appointed by the board. Each resident member shall serve a term of 12 months, March 1st through the last day of February, like the standing committees, not to exceed 3 consecutive terms. Staff members, by nature of their position, shall serve the capacity of the term of their employment or based on the nature of their positional job requirements. The review group will be supported by a staff member recording secretary appointed by the chair, who will maintain minutes, and the review group will meet quarterly at a minimum with special sessions as needed. The board of directors shall designate a director as a liaison to the review group. Smith Ranch Homes' current and long-term staffing plans continue to prioritize our growing technology needs. The recently created administration manager and financial manager positions both include responsibilities for technology leadership. When we look at rostering this position, we would like the administration manager, when they're hired, to be that chairperson. In 2024, the establishment of the communications coordinator role further consolidated many tech-related issues. Additionally, we maintain a strong partnership with a capable IT contractor. But looking ahead, as our staffing needs expands, we seriously are considering the addition of an on-site IT professional. In the meantime, establishing a technology review group is a logical and timely step that supports Smith Ranch Homes' commitment to strengthening our strategic approach to technology management. We recommend the board approve the attached charter that's been reviewed by the Communications Committee, and I want to identify Richard in particular. Thank you, Richard, for your assistance on this, to really work with me and some of the teammates to try to dial in a charter that we feel like can provide some short and long-term needs. And I also want to thank Karen and others that have been able to, on the board side, offer some feedback. And at the result, we now have these 4 pages of a charter that I'm going to present to the board for any questions and potential action.
First of all, let me see if we can get a motion. Do I have a motion that we accept this charter?
I'll move.
Karen moves. Anybody's, do we have a second? Moved and second. Okay, any discussion on this from the board? And then I'll open it up to the residents. No discussion. I'll ask a question in reading through the materials and studying it. What is a review board? I know what a board is and a committee and volunteer groups, and now we've got a review group. And I'm asking this question for everybody else's benefit. I've already asked Scott that question a couple of days ago. Scott, maybe you give us an indication of what a review is.
Yeah, we started running out of words in the thesaurus of what organizational bodies No, but really, we have an advisory group that kind of has a defined role, standing committees, et cetera, ad hoc groups. So we really felt the review group does play a role, because when we look at the charter, we start off with the goal, which is the goal of the technology review group, is to identify technology-related issues within Smith Ranch Homes processes and help develop both short-term and long-term solutions. The group provides strategic support for Smith Ranch Homes' use of information technology, including those involving AI, and supports management in identifying key technology risks and benefits. There's now 3 other pages that add more color commentary, but I think ultimately the review group works with residents and works with staff to kind of review the interface of technology on our community's footprint, and then provide some guidance to staff, whereas an advisory group interfaces directly with the board. And we felt like this was a perfect balance of collaboration with residents, involving staff, and also a partnership that could probably be as successful as we hope it to be. So we ended up with review group.
Scott, would you want to list the initial membership?
Yeah, in terms of the staffing side, I think it's easy for me to identify. Because we don't have a charter really approved yet, I think what I'd like to see is, once the board approves this charter, spend the next 2 weeks with the resident side of interest, and then at the next board meeting, have the board actually approve the resident members, and then also really the staff side as well. But for me, because we don't have an administration manager now, and I'll give you an update on the admin manager later, I would probably be a chairperson in a temporary status until the admin manager arrived. And then I'd like to see Dario Carrillo, the finance manager, and Isabel Bergson, the communications coordinator, be a part of this team. And then I have listed some members of the communications committee that I think would be really strong assets, but I don't think it's fair because we haven't received total confirmation from all members yet. And I think we would want to solicit interest before you approve them.
Also, Scott, you mentioned that the staff person would be the chair of this committee, and there's a good explanation for that. If you want to give us some indication?
Yeah, I know that can sometimes be challenging or not. I think we were really just trying to find the realistic footprint of IT at Smith Ranch, where there's a major growing component that faces the residents. But internally, behind the scenes, IT is a significant operation within Smith Ranch Homes employee sides. And we want to not say that one person's in control of the other. That's not at all. But by the nature of the employment long-term viewpoints, and that we expect to be in place for a long time, we thought the chairperson leadership position made sense to be on the employee side. The deputy chairperson, by definition, would be by a resident, so I think there'd be an expectation that both the chair and the deputy chair would be in close collaboration, though, for the goals of the committee or the review group. And I will also add that Tom Allen, our consultant that we worked with quite a bit on the North Star software project, had an opportunity to review the documents and was very supportive of what we've outlined today.
Okay, any questions?
Scott, what is the deputy chairperson? What's that role?
I think it would be really essentially no different than a vice chairperson, what we see on a lot of chairs or other committees, I think, in absence of the chair. But I do think there's not necessarily a hierarchy concern, but I thought instead of a vice chair, a deputy chair might be another way to phrase the collaboration.
So when you line out the committee, it should read deputy chair rather than vice chair.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, no other questions? I do want to point out before we vote how much Richard Drake has contributed to this whole project, and we appreciate your time, effort, and expertise very much. Richard.
And I think just for full transparency, I'm going to embarrass some people here. On the presentation today, Richard is listed as that suggested deputy chairperson. There's no denying that Richard's role is very important in terms of technology. We've also just, because of members from the communications committee, and so I'm going to embarrass you, Ernie Simard and Dennis Porter. I will be talking to you this week, but I think those are some of the names that we'd like to see in collaboration with this group. And so Richard, Ernie, and Dennis, we hope to have along with this group.
Okay, let's vote. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting this charter as presented? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried, so we now have a charter. And you say at the next meeting, we will, Scott, you said that we will be voting on what part of this now?
The actual membership. I
The
think
actual
now that we have a charter, we can talk to Richard and Ernie and Dennis and just say, hey, we'd love to have you a part of this. I think it's just a formality. Today you didn't approve the charter, so hard for me to sell that charter to anybody until you got that dialed in.
Okay, the motion is carried. Now we move on. We're going to do an interior design consulting service. We have to approve their contract today. And we've had several people working very hard, led by Marianne Polewski, working very hard to get this job done. And I'm going to ask Dean to kind of cover the introduction of it.
Thank you, Glenn. The ad hoc interior renovation committee led by Marianne Polewski also includes Sarah Gabarini, Sarah Jensen, Anna Maria Osberger, and Cliff Schulright. Cliff is great at writing contracts and proposals.
Not so great on the interior design.
Yeah. We don't ask him those questions. And I'm the board liaison, and Scott is the staff liaison. And we have been meeting since we were appointed in November of 2024. We've met 18 times since then. And we have conducted an inventory of the furnishings that are in the condo buildings. We've learned a lot about the reserve study because the cost of the renovation is going to come from our reserves. And one of our first projects was to come up with an interior design firm that would oversee the whole project. So from a list of 10 candidates, we selected 4 firms that came for on-site interviews with our committee, and they took tours of one of our buildings as a sample building. From that group, we selected 2 semifinalists, 1 local and 1 out of state. And we have selected one of those, and they have submitted based on their detailed proposal, which addressed all aspects of the common areas of our residential buildings, including carpeting, wall coverings, paint, lighting, and artwork. So today we are presenting the cost of the design firm who will oversee the whole project. They will be doing the design work and showing us lots of pictures and samples. They will order the furniture and see that it is warehoused and delivered and placed in our halls. They'll work with a general contractor and perhaps a lighting contractor to do the rest of the building. So I would like to recommend that our board approve the design proposal as presented by Severin Group at a cost of $56,000, which is a reserve expense.
Okay, is that a motion?
That was a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Tom, was that you, Tom? Tom Bertelsen seconds. Okay, let's open up for more discussion. Mary Ann, I'd like to hear your point of view on this. If they could get a mic for Mary Ann, please. Mary Ann has been instrumental in this whole thing. She has put a huge amount of work into it and brain power, I'll put it that way.
Thank you. I have to tell you, it was a really tough decision. We were dealing with two very, very experienced firms, but we selected the Severin Group, and Olivier Severin is the owner-operator, has 20 years of experience in remodeling and upgrading common areas. The other firm had many years as well, but what they can offer us, first of all, they're located in Burlingame, so they're close enough that they can jump over here when need be. But they were really able to offer us more hands-on service than the other firm. And given that we're an HOA and we're dealing with volunteers and staff, we don't really have a full-time person that can be devoted to this, so they will jump in and help us with anything. If there's a problem that arises, like general contractor or any of the materials that we've purchased, they can jump over and help us. They also can help us with additional projects that we have that are outside the area of the ad hoc committee. So I'm real happy and I'm looking forward to seeing what they present to us.
All right. Any other questions?
Do we want to call on Scott to see if he wants to augment what we've said so far?
No, I think it was presented well, and again, I support just the work that this committee has done has been professional. I think even our interviewees had suggested just how well run our functions have been, so kudos to you. One thing also about Severin is that they kind of give us a not to exceed dollar amount, where the other proposals were more ranges and more time and materials, so we really know the amount of money that we're going to be spending with them in this first phase, and I want to be clear about that too. This is to be able to memorialize the relationship so that we design what we want. We don't know what we want in the buildings yet, and no designer is going to help us until we get under contract. So this $56,000 is really going to be working from A to Z with the committee and then the community and presenting to you what is the vision for these renovations that are scheduled in 27. What's also nice is that we have money for this. The reserves had $35,000 this year and then $15,000 for the next 2 years for an interior designer. That's $65,000. So the 56 that we're bringing in today has funding for it. Now there may be some additional architectural services and lighting designs that may cost some more money, but there is a funding runway that we proactively put for this project, which is great. What's also nice is that this is a firm that can work with the architectural committee or any other bodies in the future on a lot of interior design needs and wants. And I think by not having that compass guiding us with new committees over the years, this will be able to bring some cohesion, I think, to long-term planning, which is really important. One other thing too is that they help with the procurement of all the furniture, and that's also a really nice value add. There's a procurement fee, they're in the business to make money, but we've also reviewed how does that procurement process work, and we really feel like we're gonna be able to save some money in the long run by working with a firm like this. So I think that's the commentary I'll add, and I'm really supportive of this proposal too.
One other thing that might be helpful to know is that we have $2 million in the reserve fund for this renovation project. So today we're asking for the $56,000 to hire the designers, but then the cost of the furniture and the carpeting and the wall covering and the electricity things with lighting things we'd like to do will come out of that $2 million.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions. Anybody in the residence have another question? Maybe Mary Ann can answer this. Okay, we have a question from, guess who?
I'd just like to add that the remodel is going to include the stairwells and the elevators as well, as part of that common area remodel work.
Good information. My question is, what is the time horizon on all this? We're talking about 27, then we're talking about beyond that, and I guess we're doing the condos in sequence. So if somebody could elaborate on that for the residents, it'd be good.
Mary Mary Ann, do you,
Mary Ann, do you have the
you wanna
answer?
do it? I can do it, but if you have a mic, go ahead.
That's a little bit of a dice roll because it's gonna take them a month or so to start giving us designs. And then at that point, we'll look for a general contractor, they'll start the procurement process. But we hope to have it completed definitely by the end of 2027.
Completed, all the condos
Yes.
completed by the end
Yeah.
of 27.
Yes.
That's a little over a year from now, I guess. Huh?
Well, that's why the board
No, 2
approved
years.
this for in '24, and the '25 year was meant for the designer search. '26 will then be the design plan, and '27 is really go to the races. We have a case study in this though. We did all the buildings in 2008, and at that time it was all the buildings at once, and maybe we do that again, or maybe we sequence them. It just depends on the best bang for our buck. But by 12/31/27, our goal is to have this project completed.
Is that a typical duration of something like that? You said 17 years ago, 2008, we did this, and we expect to have to do it again in 15 years or so?
Yeah, I think we always want to stay ahead of our optics of maintaining the values of the community here. And I think it's built into our reserves that every 20 years or so, we go back and revisit our common areas. I think we also look at the main lobbies wearing faster than the subsequent floors, so we even dial in a little improvements more periodically within the main floors. But the wholesale improvements are every 20 years or so. And then yes, there is a forward thought where the clubhouse is then rescheduled to be renovated again in 2034. It'd be nice if we have a positive relationship with this designer to help us through that. And then we know the architectural committee has a lot of one-off projects in between these major renovation years. And this designer, hopefully, as they have in the past, historically been able to work with our committees.
Okay. We're ready for a vote. Tom, you have anything to add?
No, thank you very much.
Okay. We're ready for a vote. All in favor of awarding this 50,
Aye.
56,000.
all in favor of $56,000 contract?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried, so we'll move ahead with that project area.
Thank you.
Okay, and, the next item on the agenda, I'm gonna move down to the very end. Gonna talk about the replacement for Tom Bertelson, but I'd like to hold that to the end if I may. So we'll start off with our reports. We have Big Jake Solomon first with the activities. And I get so tired just reading about all the activities.
Oh, you're gonna really be tired.
And Jake asked me twice, can I go longer than 3 minutes? And I said yes, that he can. Good old Jake.
Okay, so members of the Activities Committee, first of all, Neville Armstrong, Philip Benson, Priscilla Patiglio, Aline Schulman, Eleanor Stern, Gene Stronsky, Dean Porter is our liaison with the board, and Monica Thomas with the staff liaison. And I'm still Jake Solomon. Today I want to give a rundown of special events that we've got coming between now and Thanksgiving. That's not that far off. But I have to give a big thanks to Sarah Sewell for finding time in the calendar for all these things. I don't know how she did it. Anyway, we'll start with what I would call recurring events. And that's the stuff like the pianists we have every Friday and stuff like that. That's not changing, that's on the calendar. But I want to make one comment on that is that there's one more session of the Craig Griffith Art Talks. And there's 2 more sessions of the Great Decisions. And then we'll be into a new series of we don't know when. The sign up for Great Decisions new series will be between November and January. And next I have what I call outings. And those are activities that are away from Smith Ranch. Between now and Thanksgiving, we have at least 10 events that are outside the community. I'm not gonna list them all, they've all been listed in the FYI in quite detail. They all have sign-up sheets in the mailroom, please use them. If there aren't any, it's probably because the sheets have been pulled already. So then we have special events and presentations. And this is the link. Hang on, Glenn, because this is linked. I started off with this in chronological order, then it fell apart, so it's not necessarily in chronological order. You probably have seen the sign in the mailroom. On September 16th, John Martini will do a presentation on Alcatraz. That should be really good. On September 18th, which is Thursday, a friend of mine, Dr. Eric Young, who's an astronomer, will give a presentation on the Webb telescope, of which he had a part, and some of the discoveries that they found in space. I've heard this presentation before when they opened up the Webb telescope. It's astounding. I think everyone will enjoy it. September 18th is karaoke night. Don't ask me to sing. September 20th, Friends and Family Day. September 11th and September 25th, and every other week is a course in miracles with Alan Friedman. September 24th is the Rosh Hashanah celebration here. September 29th and November 6th is Jason Myers, who's not going to be on the Fridays anymore. He'll be doing these special ones. September 18th is Garden Tea Party. October 10th, jumping ahead a little bit, is Silent Film with Frederick Hodges. October 23rd, Sonic Forest Quintet. October 24th is Tech Talk, and I hope we get to hear how the new system's going to work. October 31st is Mac and Potter Halloween Dance. October 8th, this is one that gets a little out of whack. October 8th and December 4th is Ian Scarf. October 30th, Jay Weingrant will give his presentation on black holes. October 21st, we have a presentation by the Marin County Sheriff. I've heard his presentation as well, and he's a very interesting young man, Jamie Scardina. November 12th is a presentation by the Marin County Public Library, and they're going to tell us what services they can provide, and I'm hoping that they can find a way to get the bookmobile up here. Lastly, in this group, on November 20th, we have a Klezmer band. We've been trying to get this for a while. It's been a challenge with the calendar, their calendar and our calendar. So there are two more events that I want to go into just a little bit more detail. First of all, has anyone ever heard of the Mount Tamalpais College?
Yes.
Then not many people have. Mount Tamalpais College is located in San Quentin. All the students are incarcerated. It has no tax money, and it's been in existence for over 25 years. we are very honored to have the executive director, Judy Lewin, come talk to us about this incredible college that she runs. Hopefully she'll bring a graduate. The last time when I heard her, I was blown away by it. That it's just almost inconceivable that this can exist. And it certainly reduces our crime going forward. So come listen to her because she's really good. And if she does bring a graduate, you'll have a first-hand experience of how this has changed people's lives. Lastly, remember the date, October 24th. October 24th is a date that the committee's suggested as a celebration of us, all of us, with our varied birthplaces and our varied trips from wherever that was to Smith Ranch. We're gonna celebrate ourselves. It started out with a celebration of the residents, and the committee decided that we need to include the staff on that as well. So we're gonna have special decorations, we'll have special food, and we don't have all the details yet because we have one more committee meeting that we're gonna discuss that. So read the FYI as always, and all the details will be in there. But why the 24th of October? It's UN Day, and we have enough varied people from all around the world in our midst, and I hope we get to hear some of them. Anyway.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Jake, it was a little over 3 minutes. Thank you. It's a very, very active committee and one that's important to Smith Ranch, certainly for our social activities, and we appreciate your efforts and the committee efforts. So we'll move on now to Sarah G. You're next.
Good afternoon. I love my job. I'm chair of the Appreciation Committee, and let me tell you who is on that committee with me: Sarah Fletcher, Jeanette Giacomini, Lars Larson, Grace Robbie, Ed Rembrandt, Tom Bertelson has been our board liaison, Scott Newman has been our staff liaison, but he slipped out of the last meeting yesterday for him and has turned it over to Daria Carrillo, who is the finance manager, if you haven't met her yet. We don't do tipping here, and in lieu of tipping, we ask you to volunteer to give to the Appreciation Fund. And we suggest $100 to $125 per person per month. It's not like condo, so it would be 12 times those numbers for the year. Yesterday, one of the topics we talked about, which wasn't on our agenda, was the gratitude that we have for our staff. I'm in conversations regularly with other residents who talk about how much they care for definitely the staff that we meet face to face, the valets that help us, certainly the dining room staff we get very attached to. For those of you who are new, they're like family to us. And it's remarkable that many of them have worked many years, seem to be very loyal. We seem to be nice enough to them, and they are very happy at the end of the year in early December to receive a check from the Appreciation Fund. all the eligible employees, plus the contract staff like the patrol people and valets receive an end of the year amount of money based on the number of hours that they work. It's not based on performance. It's just on the hours that they work. If you want more information, I forgot to pick up the yellow, I would call Harvest Gold sheet that has all the details about how you can give. You can have it taken off or put on your monthly statement, or you can write a check at the end of the year as well, or you can write a one-time check at the end of the year. We hope you'll do that by November 15th because the money is distributed during the first week of December. And so the staff needs a little time to sort it all out. And we appreciate anything that you can give. And we hope for more participation each year. Thank you. Any questions?
Stephanie, and
Daphne.
wait for the microphone, please, Stephanie.
Daphne.
Daphne.
I just have a quick question. If we put it on our monthly bill, that would be very satisfactory. And I assume that one can tell you or someone else how much money would be added to my monthly bill. So it wouldn't just be the $100 or whatever you just mentioned. It could be a great deal more per month. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. As much as you want. And anyone who's been to the grocery store lately knows what we're facing, but you know what the staff is facing. And the amount was changed and increased 2 years ago, and we hope that we'll be able to do that soon as well. But
So I would just tell you, and then the process would proceed.
you wouldn't tell me, you would fill out the form, the yellow sheet that's in the mailroom. And if you want me to get you a yellow sheet, I will be glad to. Harvest Gold, excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you, Daphne.
you would put those forms, if you've not yet chosen how you want to pay, you put those forms in the administration box in the mailroom. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much. And it's a very, very important thing for Smith Ranch. We have such a wonderful staff, and Sarah and her group are really staying on top of it and doing a good job. Thank you for what you're doing. Okay, the next is Lynn Brown, the dynamic Lynn Brown, the Architect Committee.
Well, I am really smiling today at the news from Mary Ann and the Ad Hoc Committee. So hooray for you, the hard work, and the board approving that. That's something that the Architecture Committee has been pushing for at least since 2019 when I first joined that committee. So it's going to be wonderful. I can't wait. As we have worked on the search for pool furniture since the late spring, when we've been asked to include umbrellas, which has morphed into a huge undertaking led primarily by Colette Battaglia, who has become our umbrella expert along with Lila Beck. We knew we were dealing with safety hazards as we heard about umbrellas flying like missiles, and we experienced them acting like wet spaghetti as the wind blew one over at the table as we worked. Well, we heard you residents in June loud and clear as you spoke for the need of shade, good, decent shade in our pool area. So we called in Barbara Lundberg of RHAA, who had helped with the villa water issues. And she had recommended pergolas and shade sails as being the best solution for shade in a breezy pool location such as ours. We had a rep from a shade sale company meet with us and show different design possibilities, and we found one that we felt could possibly work nicely. We got ideas from the pergola company who did our pergola here for the enhancement committee project. But, and this is a big but, those are expensive solutions. We also had a number of residents who pushed for umbrellas, which meant, I want to make sure I get all of these things in here correctly. We had a push for umbrellas from residents, which meant more expensive ones and a whole different support structure for safety than those that we've had existing around the pool. Such umbrellas can cost between $8,000 to $10,000 each, plus support structure, so that they are up financially with the shade sales and pergolas, cost-wise. I have to thank Jack Holm for joining a special meeting with us and sharing his expertise, which he has done so generously for me many, many times. The umbrellas also involve another issue, that is staff to open and to close them, which becomes a factor in this decision. Who would think so much could be involved about simply an umbrella to provide a little bit of shade? Well, we're still not in a position where we feel we can make a recommendation to the board and to the residents, so we are going to push on. In July, we started having a committee member attend the welcome coffees, and we will continue to have a representative there to answer questions. We found that the consolidation of the guidelines that ARC had done a few years ago for new residents was not getting into their welcome packets at all. So thanks to Monica, that is now included. And if you're a fairly new resident and you didn't get one of those, check with Alex at the reception desk. She had told me that she had made extra copies. You can also access all of that on our website. The architectural committee includes myself, Claudine Bayer, Jean Bayer, Claudine Bretzer, Peter Horn, Colette Battaglia, Marianne Pilevsky, and Don Leach. Dean Porter is our board liaison, and Lila Beck, our housekeeping manager, is our staff liaison. Do I dare ask for questions, especially on this umbrella thing? We're working on it.
Any questions of Lynn Brown? Lynn, thank you
Okay.
for that committee and for what you do. Move on now to Richard Drake. I've given Richard a lot of accolades. I hope you don't get a fat head.
I appreciate your kind words. So I'm reporting here on the Communications Committee, and the most significant news I have to report today is that your Communications Committee has been repurposed with a new charter written and revised by resident staff and of course reviewed by the board. Among the significant changes contained in our revised charter is the promotion from an ad hoc committee to a standing committee, along with a commensurate salary increase for committee members. Under our new charter, the Communications Committee will help Smith Ranch Homes address communications issues relating both to internal and external communication needs and initiatives. In the past, you recall that the Communications Committee dealt with technology issues and with internal communications, while the Community Relations Committee addressed external communications and marketing issues. Under our new charter, the Communications Committee will address both of these, while a separate Technology Committee, which Scott has talked about earlier, will be a hybrid committee composed of both staff and residents. The rechartered Communications Committee will have its first meeting on Thursday of this week, and the most important aspect of that meeting to me is that it includes all members of the ad hoc Communications Committee, as well as all members of the former Community Relations Committee. Our goal is to fully access the knowledge and expertise of residents who served on either of these committees, and to bring that expertise together in support of the best interest of Smith Ranch and of Smith Ranch residents. That said, let me turn to current events and the upcoming Marin Senior Fair, which our real estate team has already mentioned, on Wednesday, September 17th. Smith Ranch Homes' participation in the Senior Fair is led by our wonderful real estate team, Amy, Christine, and Jennifer, and supported by a group of Smith Ranch Homes ambassadors who each will volunteer 2 hours of their time next Wednesday to interact with Senior Fair attendees who stop by our booth. A special thanks to all these residents for their contribution in support of Smith Ranch Homes' presence at the fair. And finally, a special thank you to Izzy Berkson, our wonderful communications coordinator, for her outstanding support for our committee and for Smith Ranch Homes in general. That's it for now. Any questions?
Questions for the technology man here?
Richard, you brought up the senior fair, and we've heard of that a couple of times. I think for the residents at large here, there is a transportation function that I think we're trying to provide like we did last year. Is that right? We're gonna have the bus.
I'm not aware of that, so.
Okay.
But.
Monica, I see you thumbs up over there. That's a good sign.
The Smith Ranch shuttle will be leaving here at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1 p.m. If anybody wants to sign up at the front desk to have a ride to the senior fair.
Did you say 11 p.m.?
Maybe. I meant 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m.
Thank you very much, Richard, and thank you for what you do for Smith Ranch. Sandra Norberg is chair of the dining committee, and we're all interested in the dining committee.
Okay, thank you very much. And members of our committee are Danielle, who's on vacation right now. We'll be back at the end of the month. Bonnie Rogers, who was waylaid in Manitoba because of an airline issue. Ruth Dudson, Elizabeth Lambert, who's been our secretary, Carol Scarce, Dean Porter's our board member liaison, and Scott Newman. Are you still our liaison?
Dining committee?
Yes.
We'll give that to Danielle.
Oh, okay, that's right. Sometimes you come. Anyway, perhaps you've noticed there have been some new menu items occasionally, like sweetbreads, venison, liver and onions. So this may not appeal to everyone, but did you know that those dishes completely run out in the kitchen? So they have been very popular. And when they are served, we get great accolades with the comment cards. And I've also heard some mention of frog legs, which will maybe coming soon. Tommy Salsa will be coming to Smith Ranch again on September 27th. And a number of you have asked about other options for food. We certainly would like to offer other varieties, ethnic varieties of food. But the issue is, we've been looking as well, but unfortunately, the food trucks we've encountered do not carry workers' comp insurance, and that is required by Smith Ranch Homes. So we're looking for ways around that. We're looking for options. We will, if any suggestions or recommendations, we will take you up on those. The food truck was actually a recommendation of a long-range planning committee. And it was agreed that it would be temporarily housed under the dining committee. However, it is temporarily, but just like the resident potluck and barbecue, this is an activity that's run by residents for residents. So we need to set up a resident committee to actually be over these. I've been serving on both of those for quite a while. So we are going to have a sign up in the mail room for anyone who's interested in being on that committee. So we're still moving forward with North Star, but the go live date, which you probably know, has been postponed to November 1st. More information will go to residents as to how that's going to affect the dining system as we move closer to that go live date. And I understand that Danielle has been a star working on this project. committee offers a kitchen tours, and Danielle says when she returns from vacation that those will resume again. And I think there are lots of people who are on the wait list for that. So just to mention, I think we always mention the dining comment cards. They're very important. I'm gonna go around and collect them all today. But Danielle reads them all, we read them all. And so please fill them out. And Danielle follows up personally with individuals if there's specific issues. So fill them out even if they are positive or negative. But if you want your comment to count, you need to sign your name to the bottom of that. Any questions? Comments?
No questions for the night, Sarah Garber.
Me too.
Sarah?
How's Sparkle coming along as far as return containers?
Well, it's still down again, but it's doing better than it was. So the question is, I will check with Danielle if she, remember last year we went around and knocked on doors and said, do you have any containers? And actually came up with a number of them, so, but it's better than it was.
Improvement.
Improved.
Aaron, you have anything to say about North Star and the dining? That's gonna be pretty close to everybody's heart.
That's for sure.
Yes, yes it is. No, not really. Our start date is November 1st. We've been spending time refining the back office part of North Star, because primarily North Star is a back office software, and then there'll be a way for residents to interact because they're ordering takeout, changing their profile on the website, et cetera, et cetera. So we're still just working on the background details.
Will this be like you go to a nice restaurant and they have the computer, the server have the computer in their hand and?
Not immediately. I think Danielle is taking it appropriately a slower pattern to make sure that our dining staff, who we all love and want to keep, can adjust. But eventually, we could do that.
Thank you for what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to skip now to the election and nomination committee, and Wynn's feeling a little under the weather, so Anna Maria is a good backup for him.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, Wynn's not feeling well. So both nominating and the elections committee met yesterday to begin the process of selecting candidates for the board and members of the various committees. We're going to start with the nominating. All right, the members of the nominating committee are Wynn Black is the chairman, and we have Nancy Monterosa, Nancy Sakurai, Bonnie Stern, and myself, and Ray Osberger. Our board liaison is Glenn Phillips, and our staff liaison is Scott Newman. The nominating committee will recommend to the board 2 residents to fill out vacancies that we have on both finance and landscape. So that is coming soon. And we have also, this is something Scott already mentioned, we have also approved a couple of the committees changing their status. And as he said, a couple of them have gone to standing, some of them are going to advisory, and others are doing their job. So the main thing the nominating committee wants to do right now is to encourage all of you who are interested in being on a committee to think about it, and also to pay a visit to the different committees. So if dining sounds like it could be fun, go to a dining committee meeting, or activities, welcome any of those committees, drop in on them and see what they really do. So that is what nominating stuff too. All right, now the next committee is the elections committee. And the elections committee consists of Wynn Black, our chairman, Nancy Sakurai, and myself. Our board liaison is Glenn Phillips, and our staff liaison is Scott Newman. Now, we have quite a bit of information from this committee. If you were not aware of it, 2 of our board members are going to be terming out, and that's Glenn Phillips, our president, and Dean Porter, our vice president. Running for another term, we're making this assumption, is Garrett. Now, Tom, as we already know, is going to be resigning, so his replacement will be determined at the October meeting. And at this point, we have at least one applicant for that. So if that is something that you would like to do. If you are elected to this end of term period, that does not prevent you from running also for the following term, which consists of 2 years. Now, we have some dates that you probably should know about. On October 15th, the nominations for Board of Directors are due. So if you wish to run for the Board of Directors, please get the forms and fill them out and make sure that they get to us by October the 15th. On the 28th of October, the board will appoint the inspectors of election. On November 5th would be the pre-ballot notice. November 28th, the candidate biographies. On December 2nd, the candidate forum. And on January 13th, there will be the voting. That will be the voting deadline. As you know, you can vote, once you have your ballot, you can vote when it's convenient for you. But the deadline will be January 13th with a vote, and that we will count. And we are really encouraging everybody that if you are interested in being on the Board of Directors, if you have questions, contact any of us, on the Elections Committee, and we'd be glad to help you out and answer any questions that you may have. So a busy period is coming up for both nominating and elections. Do you have any questions? Did I forget anything?
No, you didn't forget anything. One correction I'm gonna make a little bit later, but you didn't forget anything, and you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
But I will say this, that we do encourage you to give a lot of thought to running for the board. We don't like to have a situation where we name board members by acclamation. We've done that a couple of times, but we would prefer to have a race. Prefer to have the nominees or the people who are running for the board have a little competition. That's fun, and it also makes for a good democratic system. So thank you, Election Committee, but also thank you if you have any inclination whatsoever. Yes, it's a lot of time commitment, but you're making a contribution to Smith Ranch, and you're also making a contribution to yourself. You learn a lot, and you have the satisfaction of knowing you're contributing. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Enhancement Fund Committee, Charlene Harvey.
Charlene, as you walk up there, I'm going to embarrass my other neighbor here, Gary. I haven't seen Gary's application for the board yet, so I heard that there was an assumption that Gary's running for the board. But until I see that paper, Gary, I'm not going to assume anything. So.
I've been twisting his arm for a month and a half.
I haven't got to my level yet, or price level yet.
Well, that salary increase that was talked about earlier is an issue.
Well, hello everyone. I normally don't talk about the committee or announce it every time, but I am this time because I want to speak a little bit about the committee. Bonnie Stern, Sally Torrance, Jean Cheston, Al Goldberg, Eileen Seamard, Joanne Dunn, and Daphne White. And I wanted to say thank you to them because if you look out, and I'm going to talk about the project, which is finally finished, but a lot of that came from the committee. They not only were a great help, but they were also financially a great help. So it was really a great team effort. And I also want to throw out a thanks to Lana Beck, who, though she's the staff to the architectural committee, really has been wonderful to the enhancement committee. Followed up with all the contractors for the pergola, has just been great. And Izzy is great for everybody. What is that about that woman? I mean, she's just a treasure. So if you look out there, I hope you all feel as positive about that project as we do. We really feel it not only is contributing to the look of our Smith Ranch, which has a great look, but it's chic and it's just, I think it looks terrific. But it also, I think, is beginning to be used and people are enjoying it. I'm hearing wonderful comments from people. I won't go into the shade issue because my colleague has talked about that. But we are not going to do anything until architecture makes its decision about it, because we do want a look around here. We want the same color scheme, we want that elegant, rather simple look, which I think is right for Smith Ranch. And so we'll wait till the decision about the umbrellas is made. I want to talk a little bit about the cost. This was our biggest project to date. The expenses were approximately $53,000, and that was for the pergola and all the furniture, which I think is a pretty good deal. We raised about 50, so there was a little bit of a shortfall, but luckily people are still sending in contributions, which I find quite, it's wonderful. I hadn't expected that. So you might ask, well, where are those contributions going? Probably the umbrellas. So we still have a few expenses, but we're really doing pretty well. The committee will meet next Tuesday to talk about our future and what other projects. But we really are hoping that residents will think about that. There's a fine line, and we approach this very, very carefully with guidance from our board liaison, who's Gary, about the role of the enhancement committee versus the role of the budget, because we are not in the position to assume projects that should be handled by our dues and our budget or our reserve fund. We're here to enhance, and that sometimes is a fine line. So we take that very seriously because we want your contributions to go to things that you want, that are going to make life more fun and for you. So if you have ideas for the future, let us know, because our committee is ready to think about what projects do we want to do going forward. So that's, again, my thanks to all of you for your contributions toward the patio project. There were 60 people who contributed, which is really, some people gave small amounts and they kept saying to me, oh, I wish I could give more. And I kept saying to them, and it's true, I don't care what the amount was. Your support was so helpful to know that so many of you felt strongly that you wanted this project to succeed. And I think we did. I think it looks great. I hope you agree. So that's the enhancement committee report.
I think you succeeded very, very well.
Thank you.
The board thinks that. Sandra, you had a question?
Not a question, just a comment. When we had the Tommy Salsa truck, I noticed a number of people congregated out there.
Oh, good.
And it was just lovely. Everybody really enjoyed being out there. So it is going to be well used.
Yeah, thank you. So too. We even played Mahjong out on that table once. I vowed I was going to play Mahjong, so we did one day. It was really fun. Bridge, I don't know about, the cards might fly away, but tiles don't.
Okay, any other questions of Charlene? Charlene, remain for a second, but we've got something else to talk about here. All of you remember that Tom Bertelson has decided to resign from the board. We hate to lose Tom. He's a great guy. He told me not to give him any more accolades, so I'm going to be as brief as possible, but he's been a wonderful board member. And it's time for us to pick another board member, and the board has convened on this twice, and we did a lot of research and work on people's background. We had a list of 15 people to deliberate on, and we picked a successor to Tom in the last couple of days, and that successor is Charlene Harvey. That will be effective October 1st. Tom's still a board member till October 1st, and we're going to work him as hard as we can. we've got a couple of more meetings between now and October 1st. So, Charlene, thank you for the contributions you've made, and we look forward to the contributions in the future. You want to say a word too?
I happen to have with me, I now put on my board hat. No, I'm really, really happy to serve. For someone who doesn't buy green bananas, the thought of a long-term commitment gave me a lot of pause. But I'm happy to serve in Tom's place just for a year, a little bit over a year. Big shoes to follow, but I'm really looking forward to working with the great group that's sitting up here. And all of you, I love working with people, I love working for Smith Ranch, and all of you, I love it here. So I hope I can do a good job and help you all.
Thank you, Charlene. She's eminently qualified. She's been on numerous boards and big boards, really big boards, and knows how to negotiate things and has a great eye for architecture. We are happy to have you in our midst.
Glenn,
Yeah.
I think you may have jumped the gun a little bit because we haven't actually approved her yet. So.
No, but I guess I need to have a motion. Do we?
I move that Charlene Harvey be appointed to the remainder of Tom Burleson's term.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I thought Tom was going to second.
Well, yeah, Tom, maybe Tom wants.
Well, I get all excited sometimes. Usually Dean punches me when I don't do something I'm supposed to do, but she didn't in
We were caught in
this
the
case. But anyway, we have a motion and second. All in favor of Charlene Harvey as to fill in the existing term of Tom Burleson as a board member of Smith Ranch Homes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's the first time in 3 years as president I've ever done that. In this case, I'm doing it. Welcome.
I squeaked through, that's nice.
Okay, now I'm going to open it up for the board members as an open forum. Anything that you want to talk about, then I'll ask the residents the same thing. Anything on your mind that Tom, you usually have something. So.
Well, it just, I'm not going away. The chair of the landscape committee, Barbara Hager, asked me to serve on the committee once I was off the board, and I accepted the invitation. It has to go through the nominating committee, but I've served on the committee for a number of years, and so hopefully I'll continue.
You'll be a great addition to that committee, and I don't see any very little problem with getting you approved. Okay, any others from the board? Scott, do you have anything?
Want to be respectful of the time, but there's probably one or two updates I thought I could pass along to the group, if you wouldn't mind. It's not a National Izzy Appreciation Week, I have to say. I'm sorry, Izzy, although I think you've gotten some nice kudos today, and they're well deserved. But Smith Ranch is in the process of acknowledging International Housekeepers Appreciation Week. I don't know if you knew that or not, that it was this week, and it's actually not this week, it's next week. But Lila Beck's going on a well-deserved vacation. She's going to Europe for the next 2 weeks. And there's a chance that she and Danielle Uvalde might meet in Portugal. Apparently they're supposed to be crossing paths, so that'll be an interesting Smith Ranch meeting. But I wanted to acknowledge the housekeeping department. The housekeepers do an incredible job, and if you have an opportunity just to thank your housekeeper, and I'll include the custodians and everybody else in the housekeeping department, we found ways to acknowledge them internally, but I think they do a great job here at Smith Ranch. And retention, within that department, we probably have the most number of 20-year employees in the housekeeping department. So it's really a great operation. I just wanted to acknowledge them here. Fire drills. The reason we have fire drills is not just to test the residents, but it's also to test our fire system. So last month, we had our first fire drill with our brand spanking new fire system that was installed after the Great Memorial Day power outage. And we had dialed in the fire department and the fire company, and everybody was reading things correctly. They said, this will go without a hitch. Flip the switch for building 200 and have your fire drill. And when we did, nothing happened. It was reporting to the fire department, it was reporting to the monitoring system, but the auditables were not going off. And that's not great to hear, but it's also great why we have drills to be able to test these things and not wait till an actual emergency. So we've gone back to the vendor, we feel like we've circled those squares, and we are gonna have a fire drill this month, but in building 300. The last thing we wanna do is inconvenience potentially the building 200 residents again. So on September 25th at 10 a.m., we're gonna have our fire drill for building 300. We're gonna continue on, hopefully in good path, and we're gonna do some makeups for the other buildings, and by the year end, we're gonna have fire drills conducted in all of the residential buildings. And then we're gonna find a creative way to fire drill the villas as well. So stay tuned for that. Daria Creel was acknowledged earlier, and it was nice to pass the appreciation committee to Daria to work with Mrs. Garbarini. And what's been nice to have Daria here for the last couple of months is not only for the North Star programming and high-level financial management, but just to assist me on all the different projects that pop up at Smith Ranch Homes. I used to have a stack of paper this big, and it's now down to here. So that's great. And Daria, thank you very much. You've been a huge asset. But this stack is still here, and I wanted to give an update on the administration manager component, because that's the other hire that I've really committed to this year. I'm working with an outside firm, and we received 230 applications externally for the position. And they went through that and narrowed it down to 3 candidates that seemed to be really worthwhile to interview. And I've conducted 3 interviews. What's also nice is that at Smith Ranch we have, and I'm an example of this, is promoting from within. So we advertise this opportunity internally, and we have some interest internally for the position as well. So we hope to be getting into a position where maybe in the middle or at the end of this month we'll be making a hire. We don't have a particular individual ready to go right now, but the way that we seem to be going with these successful interviews is that there is a candidate, and October 1 really is still my goal to bring in an administration manager that will really complete the transition that I wanted to do this year and have the capable management team to assist you and allow me to work with the board and really strategically plan and guide the community and work with the community long term. So I just wanted to give you an update there because I think there has been a concern on where we've been going with this hire, and I'm still staying very optimistic. So update there. Finally, I just wanted to acknowledge some great concrete repairs. If you haven't seen concrete repairs in and around your area, we're coming soon because there's concrete repairs scheduled all throughout the property. Building 200, I think, started the other day, and they're plowing through the concrete improvements there. I can't wait till they get to the villas. There's some serious, urgent trip hazards that I think have been long needed to be repaired. That's on the schedule, but also 300, 600, 100 has their spots as well too. So please mind the signage. We're gonna try to let you know in advance that a certain area may not be available for a day or two, but in the long run, we'll be able to limit a lot of those exposures. So just general updates on a couple of different fronts that I wanted to give to the board and to you.
Okay, thank you. Now, open up to the residents. Anything you want to say? Neville Armstrong got his hand up first.
Yes.
Stand up, Ben.
I had not intended to bring this up, but after listening to Jake Solomon's report on the Activities Committee, I thought that it was important to bring up something or elaborate, and I want his consent to that, about the UN Day. I can go for it? Go for it. I want to let you all know that several months ago, quite a few months ago, Jake brought up this matter of what he thought was an important thing to recognize was United Nations Day. It was several months ago that he brought it up in our committee. And what he said about it, as I recall, now I hope you'll confirm this or edit it for me, but what he wanted to do, as I understand it, was to recognize and celebrate those of us who were not born here in this country. I happen to be one of them. But so that's partly why I feel so passionate about this particular event. So we haven't discussed it much, and I wanted to elaborate for a moment, if I may, on what you said, because it's coming up quite quickly, 24th of October, and there are quite a few of us who were not born in this country, quite a few residents and staff, many. And I personally feel that the word immigration has become a dirty word these days. you know, with ICE and so on. And what I thought we wanted to do was to put a more positive slant on the act of coming here as an immigrant. And I've spoken to one or two people here. I spoke to one this morning, Maria, who was not born here. And she has a lot of feelings about this, as I do. I see Jean in the background, Jean Bayer in the background. And, you know, I just think that there are some of us here who really feel very strongly about coming to this country and the gratitude that we feel to the United States of America for this opportunity in our lives. And was that what your intention was, Jake, to some extent?
Yes.
Yes or no?
And we'll talk about it in the committee as well.
Yeah, but I just wanted to, if I might, you know, draw the attention of the purpose, as I understood it, was to try to acknowledge those of us who were not born here and to show our appreciation for that fact that we are immigrants, or we're immigrants. So I hope that that's...
It's okay. Thank you very much.
I have one other thing about on a low-tech vein. Scott, you mentioned in the FYI about in your general manager desk that you had LPs, that you played LPs in your office. And I have dozens of LPs still in my office. And I wondered what kind of object you had in mind. I didn't quite understand what the purpose of.
Oh, I think I was just having some fun, and I will say I was also trying to promote our website and our message board. I was a little saddened to see the last time somebody posted on our message board was a year ago. And so I really stoked some interest, or potential interest, to get people mobilized and get onto the message board and just drop a line on what's one of your favorite albums that can inspire me. Sadly, there were about 42 views last I saw and not one reply, so I think I swung and missed on that opportunity, but
okay, well,
that's the spirit there. It's not to take your records, but just to be inspired by your
I have many to give you if you want them, but probably, you know, I'm more 40s and 50s rather than 50s and 60s.
Nothing wrong with anything, Neville, and I appreciate that. And in fact, I will say my list of items here, Neville.
I will talk to you further on. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I had a note about storage and scams that was on my list, and just everything is such a blur sometimes. I wanted to touch base just really quick because sadly, after the last time we got together, we tried to share some information without alarming, but really educating the community that we had another scam, but also kind of a safe security kind of challenge that we had when one of our residents received some sort of document that really looked AI generated, but also distributed internally. In between that session and then what Mr. Armstrong and others brought up at the last board meeting, I tried to push a video that went to the community to try to explain some of the challenges that we're facing. First off, I really like that delivery method, not because I do a good job, not because I look good, and in fact, they're very painful to do those videos, but I'm trying to share information in real time with the community from me so that you can hear from me too on what are the facts versus what are some of the non-facts. And I think we're gonna work on that a little bit more, but I do hope that the community knows that we are trying to stay vigilant and trying to be proactive, and when we're seeing these issues, we try to find an opportunity to grow from those, but we also want to impart upon the residents, please see something and say something. And one of our residents saw something that looked odd and uncomfortable and approached us and brought that letter to us so that we were able to address it and then talk to you about it too. So thank you, and I just want to not ignore the last 4 to 5 weeks have had these incidents that have left us a little uncomfortable. We've done some things that have improved the back office, if you will. I don't have anybody tied in my office that I caught cutting the storage lockers, I have to tell you, but we remain vigilant, and I ask you to do the same thing too.
Okay, thank you, Scott. We have...
I just wanted to piggyback off of what Scott just mentioned. I've had a couple people approach about not liking that letter was in the FYI because they thought they had mold. And I just want to remind everybody of the importance of reading the FYI, because that very first top article mentioned that letter that would be on the back page. And so that's just kind of a quick reminder. If you read it, then you'll see some foreshadowing, and then there's no reason to panic. So that's just my friendly reminder. Read those FYIs, read those calendars. The information is usually there.
But I also think there's opportunities for us to learn. We're learning on the fly too, and if we can improve by putting a stamp that says sample or something on there, we recognize not everybody reads the FYI A to Z. But yeah, please grant us the grace where we're trying our best. We are definitely looking out for the community. We love this place, and we want you to be along with us along for the ride, and we feel like you are.
Sandra?
Yeah.
Get the mic to Sandra, please.
So on one of the security issues, Richard and I always come in the back gate, and many, many times, there's someone waiting there. Okay, they could be Uber, or they could be just someone else. And so I would love you to put a sign on that back gate that says, if you're not a resident, go to the main gate.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they go in, I don't have no idea if they should be going in or not. And a lot of Uber people don't, if you follow the directions, that takes you there rather than the other gate. And so-
Well put. It's a low-hanging fruit item that some of us have been talking about for longer than we should have, about what is that right nomenclature. But at the end of the day, just go to the front gate, ride share, Uber deliveries, whatever it is, go through the main gate. And we won't be paralyzed through our analysis. Sometimes we just got to do it. So thank you.
Let me add to Sandra's comment. What I do, if I come up to the back gate and there's somebody sitting there, I usually just turn around and go out the other gate. So there's no opportunity for that person to come in.
Yeah, and we take a little bit of a temperature check. Some of our patrol teams have been able to give us some feedback on the areas in and around. There's also a lot of caregiver families waiting for caregivers to be picked up as well. I've always wondered what's going on in that dark cul-de-sac. There's some people picking up staff late at night. Usually it's a caregiver, but it could also be nefarious activities, and let's just avoid that breach potential through our gates. So, well intended. I also wonder sometimes if the community is ready to accept changes in operations where maybe after a certain hour, all traffic just goes out through the main gate and not through the other two gates for a certain low level of hours, just to help everything be kind of orderly. So.
What Nancy and I do as far as Uber is concerned, or Lyft, is have them, give them the address of 500 Deer Valley Road, and then we meet them at the clubhouse, or you could have the gate direct them to your building. Do we have another question here? Daphne?
Can you give us some sort of update about mountain lions or cougars or wolves or whatever was going on?
Lions and tigers?
Yes, exactly.
Well, knock on wood, I have not heard a report lately, so there's that. That doesn't mean that there's not a concern still. There's been changes in perception where I think we thought it was a bobcat, we thought it was a mountain lion, maybe it wasn't. So we just know that there's wildlife in and around the area. I've been really hoping to see some of that signage that we've been expecting to be in and around the pond area, just to remind residents to be vigilant on what they see. But thankfully we have not heard any recent activity in and around the area.
How about the skunks?
Yeah. Who here lives in building 400? Raise your hand. Oh, you raised them very fast. So yesterday we did a contract with a specialist in skunks, and they were here this morning. And we have a little bit of a history with skunks. Mother Nature is relentless. So they were already ready to evaluate the area. They found some concerns. They actually feel like it's beyond skunks. Maybe the skunks found a critter or two and brought it in under the building. So that's what some of the smell may be actually pushing is something else other than a skunk just, I don't want to say decomposing, but it's just a carcass. So they found some solutions that they're immediately going to jump into and try to eradicate some of that smell, and then also put up some preventative measures. We also know that in and around the area there's been some skunk issues at other properties that seem to be lending itself to increased patrols. And so I think as a general manager, I'm wanting to reach out to some of these properties to say, we're doing what we can, but what are you doing? And they may shrug me off, but I feel like we need to put them on notice.
To add more intrigue to this skunk thing.
Tom, you have a, yeah.
You might mention the theater issue.
Let me get Tom's question first.
Well, on the skunks, my son was walking the dog, saw 4 yesterday evening-ish. for the light was going, and our caregiver, substitute one, saw 4. So within a period of an hour and a half, 2 people saw a total of, well, you can't add skunk counting, but let's just say it was verified by another person that they're up and around.
Yeah, some of the commentary we received is the theater, the old theater down the street, the same vendor that we've been working with was dispatched to that site maybe 6 to 12 months ago because of skunk issues. And apparently they are the super interstate highway 5 of skunks. There's a foundational issue where many skunks were congregating. And so that has been a bit of the root source of where they're permeating to the rest of the community. And so that also is the bouncing ball of who's in charge of that property, still has a responsibility, and that's my role.
Jake?
Yeah, it's skunk breeding time, because I was out in West Marin last week, and I think every half a mile there were dead skunks all along the road, and they're all the little guys. So
yeah,
you can't beat nature.
Scott, you need to learn more about the sex life of skunks.
You said it, I didn't.
Okay. Okay, anything else by anybody? We've opened this thing up wide open, so you guys talk about just about anything. But hearing none, I'm going to declare this meeting, Smith Ranch Homes Board of Directors, open meeting, Town Hall, adjourned after an hour and 35 minutes.